Hello and welcome back to another video in the Complete Web Developer series. In this series, what we're doing is we are building an API using Node.js, and we're using a library called Express to make it very easy and quick. Now for ORM, or Object Relational Model, we are using Sequelize, and which is a Node.js package that we can use to make database super easy. In this video, we're going to use something called a JWT token, which is a JSON Web Token. And JSON Web Token basically is a base 64 encoded. So they encode a JSON object, and then we can pass that back as a base 64 string that's encoded, okay? So we can fit quite a bit of information in these JWT tokens, and then we can, they can use that in what we're going to call it, well, we are going to use that in an authorization header, a bearer token, and then we can use that to make sure that our routes are secured, or at least they have a valid token that is sent and coming back. So let's go ahead now and jump over to my screen, and let's do a git branch. Well, first let's make sure examp's up and running. So sudo opt lamp examp start. Mine's already running. So the next thing we want to do is do a git branch to see what branch we're on, and we are on main, and this will be video 9. So we'll do git checkout -b v9, and then I'm going to push that to the upstream, set -upstream origin v9. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and install a new package that, let me check, is called JSON Web Token. So we will do npm install --save JSON Web Token, just like that. Once we've done that, we have the same vulnerability as the last time. So I could run npm audit fix npm audit fix, but it did that right now isn't fixing that. So once they update something, it'll probably fix. I'm not too worried about that right now. I'm gonna do a clear here, and in the other terminal, I'd like to open a different terminal. I'm gonna do an npm start, and that starts the server running on, for me, port 5000. It makes sure that the databases are up to date because of our models that we're using. And now let's go ahead and jump into the code. So we are going to need the user's controller open. We don't need the user's model open anymore. We will need the user's routes open. And let's call that it for right now. So what we want to do is we want to work on the login method. So go to the user's controller, and for the login method, let's just get rid of everything in here for now. And let's make the return here an async function. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a const, and we'll set message equal to something is wrong with your email or password. I always spell const wrong like that. I don't know if my fingers just type it in the wrong order or what's going on there, but that is, I am not a very good typer. So we're going to say errors is equal to, and again we're going to try to match the Sequelize model errors. And in fact, we're going to say password message is going to be message, and then we're going to add another one for path email message. All right, that will be our default errors, and our default response is going to be equal to a success false message, errors. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to get our user, and this is going to be equal to an await user dot, and then what we're going to do here is find one, This find one is going to take an object here, and we're just going to say where, and where is an object that will be email is equal to request.body.email. Okay, now remember we have an index on our email column, so that should be pretty quick to look up. Then what we're going to do is say const password is equal to request.body.password. Okay. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to say, hey, if we find a user by that email address, then we are going to find out if it passes the encryption test. So then we're going to do const passed is equal to, and then we're going to use an await because bcrypt returns a promise. We're going to say bcrypt dot compare. And what are we going to compare? We're going to compare the plain text password that's submitted to us with the user.password is the second. So bcrypt is going to compare these two, and it will tell us if it passes or not. So that will return a Boolean. Then what we can do is we say, hey, if that password check passed, then we can continue on here, and we'll say const. We're going to create something called sign vals, which I'll explain in a minute, which is just going to be user.toJSON. Now, toJSON is a method that we have available to us through SQLize on our model that will take our model object and put it into a JSON object with just the properties being set from the database values. All right, so then what we're going to do is we'll do a const token. And this, we need to go ahead and bring in JWT. So at the top here of our user controller, after the user here, let's do const bcrypt is equal to require bcrypt. And then we are going to do const JWT is equal to require JSON Web Token. Now that's the library we just installed, so it's going to make that available at constant of JWT for us. So then in our login, we can say the token is going to be equal to and this is a function, so that the JSON Web Token library will return a promise. So we're going to do JWT.sign. And what we're going to do in here is we're going to pass in the first parameter will be our sign vals. So this is, in our case, is going to be the user. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set a secret up for this, and we're going to use our process.jwt, our process.environment env.jwt key. Now we haven't set that up yet, but we will in a moment. And then we can give it an object for the third parameter, and this is going to be some options. And what we're going to do is set the expires in, and then that will be a string, and we're just going to make that expire in 30 days by doing 30d there. The next thing we want to do is we want to set the response.success equal to true, and the response.errors equal to an empty array, and then response well, we don't have token yet, so we're going to say response.token is equal to token, just like that. Then what we're going to do is, outside of this if statement and outside of our user statement, we are going to do a response.status of 200.json, and we're going to return our response here. So if we save that, this login should now work. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. Let's go, and this route, the login route, if you look at routes, oops, not that, we need to look at users. The login route is a post to /login. So what we're going to do is replace the endpoint here to /login, and this is going to take an email and a password. So for email, it was curtis@freeskills.com, and I'm going to use the wrong password first. We'll hit send. We got a route not found, and that's because this needs to be a post. And now we got success false, and now it says something is wrong with your email or password. Okay, we don't want to tell them exactly which one is wrong here, but that's what we want to do there. The next thing we're gonna do is let's put the correct password, but put the wrong email address and send that, and we still get that back. But let's go ahead and send the correct credentials now. And if we did everything right, which it looks like we did not, so we have a problem. Let's go look here. And in our console here, we have unhandled promise rejection, no secret or private key. And that is because we did not go and set that up in the nodemon.json. So if you look here, what we try to do is sign a key with this process environment JWT key. So let's just go there to nodemon.json and let's add a new environment variable called JWT_key. And this is going to be a string. And what I'm going to do in the string is just add some random characters. Now, I probably want to stick to just some regular characters. I don't want to get too crazy. And in fact, I'm just going to not use any special characters. We'll save that. And then let's try this again. Okay, we still got a problem. Let's shut down the server and restart it just to reload that node. I'm not sure that it watches that nodemon.json. And let's try it again. Okay, so now you can see that we got success true. Errors is an empty array, and it returns this base64 encoded token here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that token, and what we could do is we can actually, in a browser, we can go to a website called JWT.io. What's cool about this website is we can actually take our encoded JWT and we could paste it over here on the left side, and on the right side it'll tell us what's in our JWT token. So if you look inside of our JWT token, we have the ID, so we have the user's ID, we have the first and last name, the email, and the password. Now, I don't like sending this password along with this JWT token because you can see if anybody intercepts this token, they can put this in and they can get sensitive data out of it. So anything that's sensitive data, you probably don't want to have in this JWT token. Most of the time also including stuff like phone numbers and emails. But I'm going to leave that. I'm just going to remove password. So let's remove the password out of there. And so what we can do there is we can go to the user's controller, and right here in the sign vals, this is what's adding those values to this token, okay? So what I can do is I'm going to go ahead and do delete sign vals dot password. All right, and what should happen is if we go back to Postman now and we relog in, we'll get a new token. Let's grab that token. I'll copy that. We'll go back to JWT.io. And now you can see that we do not have the password exposed here in the payload. Now it says it has an invalid signature. So let's go ahead and click secret base64 encode. So what we need to be able to do is put our secret here. And what that's going to do is it's going to verify our signature. So what we can do is go back to our nodemon.json and copy that. And then I'm going to put that in right here. And now you can see we should have all of this working. All right, so that's it. This is just a tool that you can use to see what's in your JWT token. But now that we have a JWT token returned to the users, what they can do is they are going to take this, well, let me go back to Postman. They're going to take this token and store it in some way, either in a secure cookie or maybe even in local storage on whatever device or whatever they're using. Maybe it's and when they make API requests to us, they are going to include this token in the authorization header, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But what we're going to do is let's just set up some middleware so that we can check that and secure our routes and make sure they have that token. So now that they have, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and do one more thing real quick. While we're here, let's just finish up this logged in user route. And this should be pretty straightforward. So let's get rid of that. Let's make this an async function just like normal because we're getting stuff from the database. And we're going to give it a default response here of success, false, user, null, and then we're going to say message, user not found. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we'll use const token, and this is going to be equal to request.headers.authorization. So if that exists, this would be a ternary operator. We'll say request.headers.authorization.split. And we're going to split this by an empty string, and I'll show you why in a moment. And we're going to take the second element, which is the index of 1, from that split, because split takes a string and splits it into an array based upon whatever we pass here. This is like an explode in PHP. And then otherwise it's going to be an empty string. All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to say const decoded is equal to await JWT.verify. We'll pass in the token, and then we're going to pass in our secret, which will be process.environment.jwt key. All right. Then what we're going to do again is we want to delete user actually we need to get the user, so we're going to say const user is equal to await, and then we'll use user dot find, let's do find by primary key, and in here we're going to pass in decoded dot ID. Okay, now this decoded, this is going to basically do the same thing that we just did in the JWT.io. Is going to take this and decode it. So of course we will have access to the ID in our payload here. So this would be ID, that would be 2. Okay, so that's how we're going to get this user. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, delete the user.password. I don't want to send that along. But other than that, we're going to say response.success is equal to true. Response.user is equal to user. Response.message is equal to user is logged in. And then we'll do response.status of 200. And then what we're going to do here is do .json and pass our response object into that. All right. So let's save that now and let's try that logged in user thing. And let me show you how we're going to do that. So we had our token here. So we're going to take that token and copy it. And then we're going to go up here to this authorization. We're going to click that, and then we're going to go and find bearer token. And then in this bearer token, we're going to say, we're going to copy our token that we got back from our login right there. Then what we're going to do is we are going to get this logged in user. Now we had a route set up for logged in user. So that was called logged in user. Now this was a GET request. So the body here doesn't matter, we can remove that. But if we hit send, now you can see because our authorization is set with a bearer token, we get back a response of our user. And why in the world is password not removed out of there? Let's go look at that. Let's do const data is equal to user.toJSON. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to say delete, instead of user.password, we're going to delete data.password, and then our response.user will be data. So data will be a toJSON. Now that should send that again. Okay, good. That removes the password from our API response here. So we get our user back. This is a logged in user with this token. Okay. So now we have that. And the last thing we want to do is we want to set up some middleware. So we have this folder we already created called middleware, but we have nothing in that. So let's go ahead and create a new file in there, and we're going to call this check-auth.js. And then we are going to include our JWT token, our JWT library. So we'll say require JSON Web Token. And then let's just do module.exports is equal to an asynchronous function here with request, response, next. So we're going to export this module as an asynchronous function. And then what we're going to do is inside here immediately, we're going to do a try catch block. If there's an error, we're going to do response status 401. Now 401 means unauthorized .json. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to pass in error like that. All right, once we've done that, let's go ahead and try to get our tokens. We'll say const token is equal to request.headers.authorization. And if there is authorization header, then we're going to do request.headers.authorization.split. This is like a PHP and explode. We'll get the second element of that, or it's going to be an empty string. Then we're going to say const decoded is equal to await JWT.verify. This is going to verify that the token is correct and it hasn't been messed with. Process env.jwt key. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say, this is middleware, and the way we're going to use this is we're going to put it in our routes, and so this is going to go in between our controller actions. So it's going to come in, and before a controller action, it's going to do this, and then it's going to pass it along. So we can actually set extra stuff in this request. So what we're going to do is say request.userData. We're going to add this, and then we're just going to pass decoded into that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do next, which will continue on and send this on to our controller action. So that's how middleware works. That's all we need to do for this check auth middleware. But to test this now, let's do a couple things. One, let's go back to the user's control. Actually, go to the user's routes. And in the user's routes, let's try this middleware out. So at the top here, let's go ahead and do const user auth is equal to, and then we're going to say require middleware. So back up and go to middleware, and then we're going to do check auth. Then what's really cool about middleware is if we want to run this user authentication check on any of our routes, we simply just need to add another parameter into the route here. So what we want to do is in the update, we want to make sure that this is correct. And so we're going to do user auth just like that. Oops, not like that, rather like that. And what this is going to do is on this route and this route only, we're going to use our middleware that we just created and run it through this function and add this user data here. So what's cool about that now is in our update, so the route that this is going to go to is here. What we can do is we can add a little bit of security here. And first of all, if they mess with their if their token is messed with, or they try to do something funky with it, it should catch it in the JWT verify. But also what we can do is we're going to say, hey, we'll do an if statement here. And we're going to say if user ID, okay, if user ID does not, let's see, if user ID does not equal request dot, now remember we just added this user data in the middleware, user data.id. So if the token ID does not match the user ID they're trying to update here, then what we're going to do is do a return response.status. We'll send them a 401, and we'll say for JSON, we're going to give them a message here that just simply says you do not have permission to update this user. Okay, so now we run this to make sure they are logged in, and then we can actually do an extra check in here to make sure that the user who's token, they're only trying to update themselves. Okay, so let's test that out. Let's go back now. We have our authorization bearer token is set, and what we're going to do is let's go to users, and what was that route? It was users update and then the ID. So we're going to update to user 2. So we'll say update to. Now in the body, let's just send this along here. That's fine. But this needs to be a patch request. So we'll hit send. And this says unauthorized. So why would that be? Update users update to. So let's go to the check auth here and let's just console log. Oops, I know what I did wrong. There's a spelling error right here. But just for fun, let's also console log decoded. So that'll be our decoded JWT token. Let's try that again. This does say true now, so it did update, but if we go and we should be able to see that console logged token right here, and we can. So this is what's coming back from our JWT token once we decode that. So let's try now, and let's go and try to mess with that token and screw it up and see what we can do. Let's go back to our browser and let's go to jwt.io. And what I'd like to do here, let's update this ID to 1. Okay, once we do that, it's going to create a new token for us. So I'm going to grab this token, copy it, and then we're going to try to trick the system. Let's go to Postman, and let's go to authorization, and I'm going to replace our token here. Oops, cancel that. We'll hit send, and now you can see, hey, there is a malformation. The JWT is malformed, meaning somebody has manipulated this token, and it does not work. Okay, it does not look right. And that's because they could manually go in, if we didn't set up our key, our secret key, they can manually go in and just change willy-nilly some of the information in here. Okay, what we could do though, let's see. We could change this secret. Let's set this back to 1. Let's say they stole our secret somehow. Actually, I need to check. I had some problems there. Let's look here. LE. You know what? I'm just going to recopy that and make sure that's right. So if people got a hold of your key, they could make it look like it's correct. So let's copy this now. try it again by going to Postman. Let's update this. Let's send this. Malform JWT. I mean, it's a good thing that I'm having struggles here, guys. But my point is if they try to manipulate this, okay, we have an invalid signature. So yeah, I mean, this is just not going to let them mess with it and change something that's not theirs. Okay, so let's go back now and let's go back to the user's login. We'll go to body. We'll log in real quick. What did I do? This needs to be a post. I'm going to grab the actual correct token now. Copy that. Go back to authorization header, and we will paste that in. And then let's go to users update. Let's go to a patch, and let's change my first name only to Kurt. Send. Oh, what was the route again? Patch, update, and I need the ID, obviously. I keep messing that up. So we need the ID, and boom, there we go. So now it's set to Kurt, and it's only working because we have this token. So what would happen if we don't send that token now? Well, let's just do no auth and send, and now it says, hey, the JWT must be provided. So now they get a 401 unauthorized to go to that route. Now earlier that route was not secure, but now it is secured. So if I change this back to bearer token, now it still has my other ones stored in there, then we are good to go. All right, so now in the next video, what we'll do is just real quick, we will go through and we will secure all the routes that we need to secure. Or should we just knock that out now? Let's see how long this video has been so far. The video is 32 minutes now. I think what we'll do is end it here. The next video will be super short, but we will go through all of our routes and use our middleware that we just created, this check authentication middleware, to go ahead and I'm gonna get rid of that console log over here too. But we will use this middleware to make sure that we have a valid JWT token on the routes that need to be secured by that token. Now, obviously the user's controller, we're not going to secure the sign up because we want them to be able to sign up. And the login, obviously they won't have a token yet if they're logging in. But the logged in user, we could use that on, because we're doing this manually in here. I think we'll just leave this as it is for now, just to show you two ways of doing this. But the middleware is definitely a better option for us. But so our users routes are already set up the way that we want them. So in the next video, we'll just go through contacts and to-dos. You know what, I just changed my mind. That's going to be such a short video because it's only these two files that need to be changed. So let's just go ahead and knock that out really quickly. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and go to the users and grab the user auth middleware and add that to contact routes and the to-do routes here. And let's just go through here. The get, yes, we want there to be, man, you know what? We are just gonna do this in the next video. I changed my mind again. I am sorry. And I'm changing my mind because we are gonna make it another video, because we're gonna change each one of these and make sure that we're, because we hard coded the user IDs into these before, into this to-dos, that we want to go ahead and update these as well. So let's just go ahead and pick up where we left off in the next video. So let's go ahead and I'm going to close down my server. And here in this terminal, we will do get status, And now we see that all this has been updated, so we'll do a git add. Now if I do a git status, you see these are ready to be committed. So we'll do git commit -m JWT token and middleware. Git push. Then I can do a git checkout main git merge v9 git push. All right, guys, with that, I will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Please comment, like, subscribe. Check me out on Patreon at patreon.com/freeskills. Link in the description. Peace out.